In honor of Women's History Month, we at the Science Museum wanted to share some local women making great contributions in the field of science. Today I am with Dr. Phyllis Newbill, who is the Associate Director of Educational Networks in the Center for Educational Networks and Impacts, CENI, at Virginia Tech. And since 2007, you have been involved in ICAT, which for those who might not know, ICAT is the Institute of Creativity, Arts, and Technology. And among her many roles, she has served as the liaison between Virginia Tech and the Science Museum since 2016. So thank you again for being with us today. I'm really excited to share everything that you do so much with our community. We have such a great relationship with you here at the Science Museum.
Well, I'm pleased to be here. Thank you.
Yes. So we'll get started. I've got just some questions here. Won't take too long of your time. I know you're busy. But can you tell us about your background and how you became interested in science?
Of course. I grew up outside all the time, hiking and climbing around on rocks and trees. And I'm so grateful to have had that time outside. One of the ways that I expressed my love of the outdoors was through scouting. I have two older brothers, and I worked at the Boy Scout camp I just followed in their footsteps as a child. And I ended up working in the Nature Lodge at Camp Otari in Snowville and loved that job so much. I loved teaching the merit badges about environmental science and weather and forestry and all of the mammal study, reptile and amphibian study. I loved those things so much. And having the ability to teach outside and to be with kids who were excited to be outside with me, that experience and just being on camp staff really shaped who I am now and who my social groups, my character, my ethics, all of those things were very much formed in that space. And I'm so grateful that now I get to work with scouting again through continued work at the scout camps and then also through scout troops. I've been both a Girl Scout leader and now a Scouts BSA Scoutmaster, and I get to pull all of those things together. And it's lovely that the science learning and the geology allowed me to hold that position as a nature activities director. And then that has come full circle, both in Scout leadership and also in education as well. So when I got to college, I actually thought I was going to major in English and maybe elementary. And I took a geology class in my freshman year, and I loved it so much. And I love the fact that geology and geoscience would explain some of the things about the rocks that I had seen and the shapes of the landforms and how they fit together. And those stories, I think, were just so powerful. I also had a great teacher. And that's often a story that we hear about how people get involved in the subject areas that they love, is they have a great teacher. So I definitely had a great teacher in Dr. Bob Wisnett, who really super inspired me to study geology to start with. I ended up double majoring in geology and English because I still love English, love words. I came back and got my master's degree in environmental and engineering geosciences with the thought that I would eventually become a geology professor to be just like Dr. Wisnett. But as I moved down that path, while I loved every bit of it, I found that education was still what was pulling me in. And so my PhD, my doctoral degree, is actually in instructional design. So that's a thing in education. And so now what I do is combine the science, the things that I know about how the world works, and teaching to help other people learn science. So that the science education is where I have landed. But it came from this joy of the outdoors and also a joy from a super enthusiastic teacher.
Did you want to tell us how you began your involvement with ICAT, since it's been so exciting for us here as well?
Sure. So as I finished my PhD and was looking for what I was doing next, and now that I had degrees in English, geology, and instructional design, and a number of years of community theater, I did not know what I would be doing. I knew that I was already off of any kind of traditional path. And so I was looking to see what would present itself and what was out there. That was about the time that they were building or beginning to actually raise money to build the Moss Art Center, which is the home of ICAT, the Institute for Creativity, Arts, and Technology. And some people came and talked to me about this idea of this group of people that would be working at the nexus of science, engineering, arts, and design. And they had this big education component as well. And I thought, this could work. This could work. And I've been super fortunate to be part of it for now almost 16 years and to watch it grow. And it's been lovely to watch how the relationships have formed and the work of it has really grown throughout the university and the community.
Here at ICAT, the Institute for Creativity, Arts, and Technology, we've created a different kind of cube. One that can be anything you want it to be. It's a space where you can make anything happen, starting simply with an idea. Our cube is a 5-story state-of-the-art facility that can easily turn into an immersive experience. A studio for motion capture, or an exhibition space. It brings to life all of your technological and creative ideas in one unique setting. The hybrid black box theater and research laboratory is equipped with systems for spatial audio, motion capture, virtual reality, and much more. The cube also features the cyclorama, a massive cylindrical projection screen for immersive experiences. At roughly 40 feet in diameter and 16 feet tall, the cyclorama can accommodate up to 60 people. Within it, the projection fills your entire field of vision from anywhere you stand.
Early in the ICAT experience, some very smart people got together and determined that a relationship between Virginia Tech and the Science Museum of Western Virginia would be a great idea. It worked well for a little while. The relationship existed for a while without a person in the middle. And after about 5 years, they realized that they really needed a person in the middle of that space in order to work through anything that needed to be worked through. And so I'm so glad that I was in the right place at the right time and with the right skills, with that education and science background, to be able to walk into those spaces and be able to talk both with scientists, with educators, with the museum community, and bring all that together. That ability to speak across those disciplines and across the cultures has been a ton of fun first, because I get to play at the museum and I get to play at Virginia Tech, and the relationships and the friendships that I've made through that, as well as the new exhibits at the museum, the new experiences for Virginia Tech employees and faculty, all of those have just been phenomenal. I'm so grateful for the experience of working with the museum. It's truly a joy to be a part of it all. So thank you.
Absolutely. It's been amazing just for us at the Science Museum to be able to participate in those events. It's very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, exciting. And next question would be, what has been the biggest challenge you have faced in your career as a woman in science, and how did you overcome it?
That is a great question. There are many things that are small, micro even, that I didn't even notice about being a woman in science. As I left science, I moved into that education degree. When I did my dissertation, it was about women in science. Just after I left science, I wrote a dissertation about women in science and how they get excited about it and how they learn about it. And through the reading that I did in order to prepare for that, to write my dissertation, I learned a lot about women in science that I had not studied before as a scientist, but had certainly experienced before. And so I did have a lot of, when I was reading some of the literature for my dissertation, I learned a lot that my own experiences were not unique. And so I think that was both gratifying and also shocking at once, because I thought, these are just, that guy's just a pain, or that guy is just annoying. And again, not huge things, lots of little things. But learn, I think that was probably the hardest part, was realizing that the things that I had faced, all of those little things, were things that definitely added up. And the way that they added up, maybe contributed to my not continuing as a geoscience PhD. Maybe. It's hard to know, but I think that was the hardest thing, was just realizing that, oh, this not just my experience. It's actually everybody's experience, or not everybody's, but a great many women experience little stereotypes or little experiences that sometimes aren't as much fun, and they only experience this because they're women. So that's probably the hardest part. And then understand how to create spaces that get away from those cultures and those little things that add up. I thought for a while that I wanted to be a geology professor because I saw wonderful, enthusiastic, amazing geology professors who were actually making big differences in the world. As I explored that path and looked harder at the possibilities and the opportunities that were out there, I found that there were other ways to achieve that goal, to achieve that dream of making a difference in people's lives and also making a difference, I think, in science overall. And I found that being able to talk with teachers and work with museums and schools is the path for me. And I love it. I'm having so much fun. And looking back, I don't see anything as a turn away. I see everything. When I was moving forward and looking ahead, there were some moments where I was like, I don't really know where this is going. As I look back on the different pieces of the path that I've taken to get here, they all make a whole lot of sense. Everything actually sort of points in this direction of the work that I'm doing now. I'm so grateful.
Thank you. And can you talk about a particular research project that you are most proud of and why? Sure.
There's a project that I did a bunch of years ago, and it was part of my work at ICAT, where I went into a school. I had some free-ish time at this point in the plans, and I got to work straight with a fifth grade teacher, and we did the ocean project with a bunch of fifth graders, and we built a 40-foot long, 12-foot tall ocean in the school hallway, and the students made fish and seaweed and all kinds of things that had to go into the ocean, but they had to go where they belonged in the ocean. So they learned about all the twilight zone and the midnight zone and the continental shelf and the seaweed kelp forests and all of the continental, all of those pieces. And they had to learn about the characteristics of each of those places so that they would know where to put all these organisms that they made out of, drink bottles and paper plates and crepe paper and all that sort of thing. We had a great time. I worked with that teacher for probably 6 weeks, maybe. I don't remember, but we did have a really good time. And I learned recently those students, the first year of Ocean Project, those students went to college this year. They graduated, and one of them decided in fifth grade that she would be a marine biologist, and now she is studying marine biology. And I think that is my favorite thing. I just love it. And I hope that all my other little projects are like that, but I hope that each of the things that I'm doing with the Science Museum, with our field trips to campus, I hope that those kinds of decisions are being made, or at least people are considering new opportunities.
Last question. What advice would you give young women who are interested in pursuing a career?
My advice to young women heading for a career in science is to stay really focused on what it is you want to study. Bring your whole self to that. There are things that we bring to the table in terms of listening and spaces, care that you should bring to the table as well. I think bringing your full personality and all of the good things and the little dents and the fun quirks about you, bring all of that. Don't try to hide any of it, and bring it all to your work, because that's what's going to help us as scientists, as a culture, be more accepting of all the different ways that people can be. And it's also going to help us do better science, because we're going to ask better questions because you're in the room, and we're going to consider slightly different things because of your quirks. So bring your quirks, be yourself, and just stay focused on what it is you want to study.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Shannon.